I know that Chris Cuomo made the rounds too, but we got to play it because this is saying a lot to say the dumbest thing I've heard Chris Cuomo say. That's a lot of, that's a high bar, a low bar, whatever. But Chris Cuomo's a legal analyst too. He's a lawyer, right? Chris Cuomo's a lawyer. He's not quite as stupid as the CNN legal analyst, whatever her name is, Lauren Coates. But this is Chris Cuomo's take on when we will demand, I don't know what, an end to police shooting unarmed, people in the middle of the night in dark alleys in Chicago. I don't know what he's saying, but he's going to tell us when and how things will change in America.
How many more die of the pandemic, dying from police shootings? George Floyd, Daunte Wright. I wonder if you'll remember their names 6 months from today, because they'll be replaced by so many others. You're here, people. What are you going to do when you see these shootings? You know what you're going to do. That George Floyd, did you hear about him? That Daunte Wright, did you hear about him? That 13-year-old Adam, you know he was a gangbanger. Why do that? Because you want to make the problem them. Takes the onus off the idea that you're wrong about policing not needing to change. Forget that police are trained to deal with non-compliance with force that is not lethal. Hey, comply or die. And you know what the answer is? You really do. You don't like it. I don't like it. It scares me. Shootings, gun laws, access to weapons. I know when they'll change. Your kids start getting killed. White people's kids start getting killed. Smoking that doobie that's actually legal probably in your state now, but they don't know what it was. And then the kid runs and it pop, 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 pop. Cop was justified. Why'd you run? Oh, he had a baseball game tonight. Huh. A white kid. Oh, big family. That house over there. Those start piling up. What is going on with these police? Oh, what? Maybe we shouldn't even have police. That kind of mania, that kind of madness, that'll be you. That'll be the majority, because it's your people. See? Now, black people start getting all guns, forming militias, protect themselves. Can't trust deep state. Woo-hoo! You'll see a wave of change in access and accountability. We saw it in the 60s. That's when it changes.
It's hard to turn away from him. He's entertaining. He's crazy.
I mean, if we went, line by line, we could take it apart because it's so stupid and he's so wrong. When white people start as we know, more white people get shot by cops, more unarmed white people get shot by cops. But I love how, George Floyd, did you hear about him? Well, yeah, if you did hear about him having, this lethal dose of fentanyl in his system, and there's factors here, Chris, you alleged lawyer, and he says, Daunte Wright, did you hear about him? Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff matters. He was wanted on a warrant for armed robbery. I mean, and he talks about Adam Toledo, running to a baseball game at 2:30 in the morning. What's he talking about? And he had a gun, and that cop is going to be exonerated, unfortunately for Chris. And the idea that white people don't ever get shot, they're just targeting. This guy is advancing this lie, which is the root of all the problem that people think. As I've pointed out many times, that this poll, this survey, where the majority of Democrats think the number of unarmed black people who get shot by cops is over 1,000. 14% of Democrats think the number of black people shot every year by cops, unarmed black people, 14% think it's over 10,000. 10,000. Because they listen to idiots like Chris Cuomo and make it seem like, they're being hunted in the streets. They don't want to deal with facts because, as we learned from that CNN producer or whatever he is, technical director, the fear sells, the death sells. And,
yeah, no, I thought that rant was good. I liked it, but it was absolutely reeked of desperation. He's obviously taken a ratings hit. In that rant, he deploys like 1,000 straw men. And I like that you can tell he's street because he said smoking a doobie. He's down there with the people, smoking a doobie. but it was pathetic and disingenuous completely.
But
And
again, as you and I talked about, you just can't lump them all in together and say, George Floyd, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. I mean, they're different circumstances, different situations, and you can't. I know they want the jury to just say, "Well, black man, white cop, cop's bad, BLM good. Let's convict on everything." That's what they want. That's what they're rooting for. But they, there are circumstances, there are facts that matter. Like. I'm sorry, Adam Toledo was in a gang. He apparently had a gang tattoo. He was only 13, but he was a mature 13, if you at least.
Yeah, he was a Latin king, and
right? And he had a gun, and he shot the gun at the cars. I mean, that stuff matters, Chris. I mean,
yes,
I understand that nothing. Skin color is all that matters to Chris Cuomo, but that's not all that matters to the cops in foot pursuit, or God forbid, to the jury. If that's all they cared about, we're in trouble. If that's all the jury cares about is who's white, who's black, and who does BLM not want me to put away?
No, right? You're not allowed to. I mean, that kid, the Adam Toledo, he's a Latin king. The Latin Kings, the business model in these gangs is to load the young kids up with all the drugs and all the guns. Because they don't have records, and they're going to get it right out. They're juveniles, so that's what they do.
Are you not allowed to bring that up? I mean,
it's just white supremacy. That's the beginning and end of the debate now. White supremacy. That's all it is, and you don't have to expand any further than that. That's it.
And I was reading, about the settlement yesterday. I mean, the city gave George Floyd $27 million before we even learned that he was murdered. I mean, I know Jacob Fry keeps saying he was killed by cops. They can't change that. Well, if the cop was justified, and we're going to learn that shortly, you're still going to pay him $27 million.
Right.
And you're not allowed to ask that. You're not allowed to say, you think you might have waited for a verdict for the facts to come in? And by the way, how do you get to $27 million? I realize that Shoprin's there and he's taking his cut, but $27 million is a hell of a number for a guy who obviously was, committing a crime, had committed crimes before, had, passed a phony $20 bill, had resisted arrest. I mean, there's a lot of circumstances here. You don't just say, "Oh, black guy, white cop, here's $27 million." It just seems like everything
like you're
is
saying,
being,
and like you're saying, like bigger picture, we don't know at all. As a matter of fact, there's no reason to believe that the George Floyd killing was a racist event at all. So we're having a racial reckoning when the genesis of the reckoning has nothing to do with race.
And it's a good question. Like, why do they assume? And I think I know why, but why do we allow that narrative to take hold that there's racial kill? I mean, Jason, what's his name? Juan Williams, on the 5, everything's racist. They did this. There's race involved here, and I forget who it was saying, why? There's no evidence. There was no testimony that Chauvin was some racist. There was no racist language used. Neither was there with Adam Toledo. I mean, do we really think if Adam Toledo were, Italian, young Italian guy running down the alley, or Irish, and had a gun and turned with the gun toward the cop doesn't shoot because of skin color? Is that really the conclusion we're supposed to come to, that in the dark in that alley, and we saw the body cam, it was pretty intense. It was bang, bang, literally bang, bang.
Yes.
We had an eighth of a second to decide whether the gun was being discarded or being turned on him, and he shot. And I don't think, they might charge him and fire him and everything else, but he'll beat the rap. He will beat the rap when the whole the situation is laid out for a jury or a judge. But that doesn't matter to Chris Cuomo. It doesn't matter to Lauren Coates.